who from Luton, turned his life around, and now trying to change the lives of others. Daniel Savory, he spent 2.5 years in prison for his involvement in gang and drug crime, and since his release from prison, now mentors people in similar situations. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Yeah, nice to have you here.
It's nice to be here.
So, you've got a really interesting story. Tell me about your life back then.
Basically, I got into the wrong crowd, and so I started going down the wrong path. Got involved in a lot of negative things, drug dealing and gang sort of culture, and it led me to prison, going to prison. Ended up doing a couple of years, 2.5 years prison for selling drugs, and basically since then I've come out and started trying to change my life around, so that's where I'm at now.
So take me back a bit. Okay, so you say you got onto the wrong crowd. How does that happen? You just I'm in the wrong crowd suddenly? There must have been something that happened.
I think for me it was living in Luton and not having much to do. I sort of just started to drift really, and seeing some of the people older than me doing what they were doing, and it kind of just made me want to do that as well, sort of thing. I got involved in it, and
how did you get involved in it? Somebody sort of approach you and say, "Oh, would you like to sell drugs?" Or did you?
Nah, I sort of
happen?
see people doing what they were doing, and at the time almost admired it, so I kind of pushed myself upon them and said that I wanted to be involved, sort of thing. And then that's how it started, really. Got into the wrong crowd from that, and my life just went downhill. So yeah.
So how many years were you dealing drugs?
I would have been in probably for about a year, 2 years maybe, involved in that, maybe even longer, to be fair. I started at about 16, I'd say, and just carried on. Became a thing of.
Did your parents have any idea that you were doing this?
No, I had to keep it hidden from my mum and my family, because obviously it's quite a negative thing, and I'm pretty sure that they wouldn't have wanted me involved in it, and I tried to hide it, stay away from the dramas and stuff at home, so kept it hidden.
They weren't suspicious at all, because obviously drug dealing, you probably had quite a bit of cash and things.
That's the thing with it, like, obviously people think you make loads of money and that, but when you're doing it the way I was doing it and having to keep it hidden, my money was going on nonsense things. Like, I never really had anything to show for it. I might have nice clothes or whatever at the time, but I couldn't really get anything worth keeping. I was never going to get a mortgage or anything off it, so and I just have to try and keep it hidden to the best of my abilities, try and hide up my stuff, leave my new clothes and trainers at friends' houses or whatnot, hide my money and things from my mum, so
And you were dealing all sorts of drugs?
I used to, at the time I smoked a lot of cannabis, and so, but I wasn't selling cannabis, I was selling harder drugs, which is obviously what I went to prison for. So crack and heroin is the drugs that I sold.
Were you aware, as when you got into this, that you, of all the consequences?
I was aware of the consequences, I just tried to avoid them. And you kind of try to put it to the back of your mind while you're doing what you're doing. Always had an excuse for what I was doing. My excuse was if I wasn't doing it, someone else would be. But obviously looking at it now, that's not the right way to look at these things. So obviously it must have caused a lot of people a lot of pain and things like that. So.
And how did you get caught?
I think there was an operation local to me, and I was stopped in my local alleyway by a couple of police officers, and the drugs dog searched and found to have the drugs on me, sent to prison.
What did your parents make of that?
My mum was devastated, to be honest. She hated the fact that I'd gone into that lifestyle, and she wasn't happy at all.
She must have felt quite guilty that she wasn't actually aware of that as well.
Yeah, I think she did. She, I think towards the end she started to get the drift, but I just, obviously smoking cannabis at the time as well, I used to get mood swings and stuff, so I was quite aggressive towards her at times, and told her to let me do what I was doing and leave me alone, not to worry, I was fine and stuff like that. So, but yeah, she wasn't happy with what was going on, and it caused a lot of pain towards her as well. And obviously being in prison, it's a lot of stress and takes a lot of toll on your family as well.
So after you got caught, and then you presumably went to court.
Yeah.
And then what that moment that you were told that you were going to prison, what sort of did it all suddenly dawn on you that this is what happened?
I obviously was on bail for a little while before I went to court, so I kind of prepared myself.
Okay.
I knew what was coming, and couldn't really change it. So I just got on with it. I tried to tell myself I'd just do my time and get it done.
What was it like, prison, day to day?
It is. I didn't find prison hard in the sense of what you see in the movies. It's like you're going to get bullied and so on and so forth. I just don't. It's not a good place to be in. It doesn't. I feel like it doesn't. Although I got a lot of stuff done in there, that was through my choice and me changing my mentality, wanting to do those things. Because I feel like if you don't want to do that, you can just go down and sit down and get on with it, and nothing will really happen. I feel like there's not a lot of rehabilitation going on in there at the moment, and that's probably something that should be worked on in prisons, because people just sit down and do nothing and just get on with their time, spend their time in their cell all day. It's not a very nice place to be. It's very stressful, but at the same time, like I said, it doesn't really help rehabilitate you unless you are motivated to do it yourself.
You say it's very stressful in a way. Some people might think that you're in prison, so you've got almost no worries really, because but you're taking care of food, water. Okay, you haven't done a good thing to be there, but
yeah,
where's the real stress? Is it
stress is being locked away from your family and friends, and obviously I had a few people pass away while I was in prison, and it takes its toll on you. You can't be there for things, birthdays, obviously in my case funerals and stuff like that, and it does get to you, and then you spend your time on your phone listening to people tell you what's going on and what's been happening, and you're not part of it. You can't be involved. Also, just there's a loads of little things that you take for granted when you're out, that when you're in there, they really play on your mind. You spend a lot of time thinking of things, thinking over and over, and that doesn't help you. It just stresses you out. You should just lock behind your door.
You say you got some things done in prison. What did you get done?
I did an introductory course in psychology because it was something that appealed to me, and then I worked a lot on mentoring. So I went to special wings where people were more vulnerable prisoners than that, and mentored them, and that was just a process of me changing my life, sort of thing. So I've done about 3 different courses in mentoring. I worked as information advice and guidance throughout the prisons, which is just, as it says, really giving other prisoners information, advice and guidance, helping them about the prison and stuff. I've done a few vocational courses whilst I was in there, just stuff that I felt that could help me get on with my life when I got out.
You said there wasn't much rehabilitation in prison. What made you decide that you wanted to change?
I had, like I said, a few people close to me passed away.
Okay.
And a lot of stuff that was going on the outside world, like gang stuff and that, and I could see where it was going, and I just came to a turning point and thought, I wanted to change, I need to do something about this.
Is it easy to step away from the gang though, even when you come out of prison? Or because when you see all those kind of gang movies, they think once you're in a gang, that's it, you can never get out. Is that true?
For me, I don't feel like that, because although the police and certain other people would look at it as that I was involved in gang culture, for me, I don't have a gang name or something like that. So for me, it's just my group of friends. Although some of them might be doing negative things, I feel like my friends, they're positive towards me. They can see that what I'm doing with my life right now, and they support me with that. So I obviously distance myself from certain people that do certain things, but I still have a good network of friends that are positive to me.
So tell me a bit about your mentoring then. What does that involve?
Basically, when I left prison, I began working with a team called Reactiv8,
Yeah.
and I've done the course with them, and they just opened my mind to so many different things. And the lady that works there with Reactiv8, Michelle, she had obviously spoke to me about what I wanted to do in my life and some of the things that I had done. And she heard about the mentoring stuff that I had done and told me that they were going to start a course with the youth offending team and that she'd like me to join them. So I jumped at the opportunity,
Yeah.
and that's how I got into it.
And how are you finding did you say you're actually already going to schools or going to organisations?
Currently, we do 1 day a week at the Hat Factory in Luton with the youth offending team, and it's just a group of youngsters from youth offending who are already on youth offending, so obviously their life, they've already started down that path. They're still early on it, they're not bad kids, they're just sort of straying a bit, and we work with them once a week, and I love it. Yeah, it's going well.
And how do you try and persuade them to stay away from drugs and gangs and things?
Basically, I try to show them that it's different for me speaking to them than other people, because a lot of people try to talk to these kids and tell them you can't do this, you can't do that, but they've never experienced some of the stuff that the kids are going through. So my angle at coming at them is, I've been where you are, I've seen these things, and I've seen where it leads to, and that's how I try and speak to the kids. I show them that it's not nice being in prison, it is stressful, it will get to you, and the friends that you're trying to impress and look good in front of, they're not there when you're in prison. They're not going to be phoning you or contacting you. You see who your real friends are when you do go to prison, and I try to just make sure that they realise these things.
Do you think life is harder for the youngsters nowadays than it was when you were young? I mean, you are still very young, but you know.
I feel it's a lot harder. They get dragged into a lot of stuff that it's really hard for them to avoid at the moment. Just from living in certain areas, you can be dragged into certain things, and so I do feel it's a lot harder. They need a lot more support.
What advice would you give to somebody listening now who is thinking of sort of getting involved in gangs?
I'd advise them not to do it. Do your own thing. Try and find something positive, constructive to do. Although it is quite hard, there are things out there that you can do. Focus on something and try and find some goals for you that you would like to achieve, and just stick to them.
Right, thank you very much, Daniel.
No worries.
That's Daniel from Reactiv8. He's mentoring young people, helping them to try and lead a good life and avoid drugs and crime. Thank you very much, Daniel.